Yes, I salute you all. Thanks for watching and thanks for being always on. Today we are under the topic, anyway, I urge you to subscribe, watch and subscribe. Today we are under the topic, we are under the course unit of the love torts. You get love torts. And we all know tort is a civil wrong, you get. And today's topic we are looking at defamation. However, there is defamation under criminal, but however this is under civil, which basically it calls for damages. You get. So put that in mind. Here we are looking for damages. We are looking at the civil wrong. You get. We are looking at the civil wrong, and under civil, you know that we need damages. So probably that is the essence, or that is the aim. So in this essence, what we are trying to look at, or what we are trying to portray is that we are looking at we are going to look at the elements of defamation and the defenses under defamation, basically. And to briefly elaborate about defamation, defamation may mean a statement which injures the reputation of of another by lowering his reputation, by bringing hatred into the right-thinking members of the society. You get. So under here definition, we are looking at damages, or the essence is to look for what? Damages. Then when you go, there is a case of Geoffrey Sejoba versus Reverend Patrick Rwachibingo. That is a good case actually on defamation. It defines what defamation, injuring someone's reputation in front of the right-thinking members of the society. What do they mean by right-thinking members of the society? Is the reasons why they say right-thinking members of the society. Here, realize that the society knows something that is different. Then here comes you, the defendant, who is publishing something that is also what? Different. So that you are, in that essence, you are injuring someone's reputation in front of the people that think that he or she is what? Is right. You get. So basically that's the essence, or that's what I'm trying to do, what? To portray, to put. And under the forms of defamation, you have two forms of defamation. The first of it, we have slander, you have libel and slander. And what you have to know about libel and slander, or what you have to know about libel. Libel, that is permanent defamation, whereas slander is temporary defamation. I'm going to differentiate the two. Libel, basically, it is permanent. Permanent, something that is published either by writing, you understand, or by a photo, something like that. It is permanent, you understand. But slander is something that is temporary, that is made out of what? Speeches, you get. Speeches. For example, if you come to a rally and you just utter something, you defer the defamatory statements that are just uttered verbatively. That is what? That is a slander. But a libel, most of it is written for articles in the newspapers, anything. That is a libel. It is permanent. But slander, the reason why they say temporary, because it was just spoken. Someone can change it somewhere, somehow. You get. That is oral information. You get. Those are the two categories that we have under defamation. So basically that's the essence, and that's what we are trying to look at. And also we have seen that slander and libel. There's a case of Chwanuka versus Obote. Yeah, or Chwanuka versus Obote, whereby Obote was sued. Chwanuka sued Obote on defamation, and the issue was stated whether it was a slander or a libel. Here we realize that Obote made some statement showing that Chwanuka wanted to overthrow the Kabaka, you get. So he was bringing controversy, or he was injuring Chwanuka's reputation and right-thinking people of Uganda as a community. Obote made that speech once when he was on his rally, you get. But however, the reporter reported the way Obote stated his words. So the court held that it amounted to a libel, not a slander, due to the fact that the reporter wrote the exact words that Obote spoke on the rally, you get. So note that in mind, the case of Chwanuka versus Obote. That is a good case. Then there is where a corporate person sue under defamation. Yeah, it is 100% sure that he can sue under defamation, because probably he's defamed. Reason being, there is a case of Lord's Bar and others versus People's Newspaper. Lord's Bar and others here, the People's Newspaper wrote an article, or a reporter in that newspaper wrote an article saying that all the people, all the bar tenants, all the ladies in the bar, that bar, had vulnerable diseases. You understand? So, and the manager employed such ladies. So in this essence, it was injuring the reputation of the corporate person, which was the bar. And the court said that the plaintiff was liable for damages, given that there was no need to prove what? To prove loss. You get? So note that in mind, or bear that in mind on a corporate person. He can also sue. A corporate person can what? Can sue. So note that in mind. And when you go further or more further, realize that we can read the interpretation where they say that how a false statement or a defamatory statement can be interpreted. First of all, a false statement can be interpreted in two grounds. First of all is that words must be given their natural or ordinary meaning. Secondly, a statement must be interpreted as a whole, so that we understand that is a defamatory statement. So put that in mind. You get? And what I can say or what I can give to you, put that in mind. And there's a case of Charleston and other versus newspaper and another. Here, realize that under that case, I'm trying to show that the statements must be interpreted as a whole. Here, realize that two heads of a photographs were attached to two dead bodies, and these bodies were naked. So the plaintiff claimed that it was an implication that they were attached to pornographic photographs. You understand? But however, court held that there was no any defamatory statement, and the court held that the words should be interpreted, or the matter on the newspaper must be interpreted as a whole, instead of only interpreting the headline and the photographs or the pictures. So note that in mind, or bear that in mind. And however, we have seen those two categories. Then we have what they call innuendo. Innuendo. And innuendo, basically, here we've seen that the words must be interpreted as a whole. But here, court held that if a person or the plaintiff is to rely on innuendo, he's claiming the meaning of the. Actually, he is claiming that the statement has a meaning other than its ordinary meaning, not the other. And the other meaning is what? Is defamatory. It's not relying on the ordinary meaning, but is claiming that the other meaning is what? Is defamatory. That is innuendo. And there's two ways. We have a false innuendo and a true innuendo. You get? I'll start with the true innuendo. A true innuendo, this is where the words themselves, or they have an extrinsic or external meaning compared to the ordinary meaning. And because these words themselves, they are published without the defamatory character, but those who see it, or the right-thinking people, read it and interpret it as what? As something that is defamatory. You get? That is innuendo. And I'll give the case of Mr. D versus Uganda Times, whereby here the plaintiff, the defendant, the defendant wrote something or published in the newspaper saying that the wife was not even mentioned, and the plaintiff who was not mentioned on the deceased's funeral, something like that. The plaintiff sued that the words were defamatory in her, in regard that people, what they knew, she was living with her husband to the plaintiff, would see would seem that he had been living with him immorally without a legal marriage. So the words themselves didn't have the ordinary meaning, but the people, the right-thinking people, for them perceived that defamatory character. I'll give an example whereby there's an advert that came on board of Bosco. That advert was normally on TVs of Bosco. We as Ugandans, we knew that Bosco was Museveni. Actually, they abolished even that advert. We knew that Bosco was Museveni. But in the layman's understanding, Bosco doesn't relate anywhere to Museveni. But what the right-thinking people think, it can make that statement defamatory. You understand? Let me give also an example. If in class, if I happen to do something in class, you get, or let me give an example. We have seen also in high school, realize that, how can I say? Can I bring a double dealer or something like that? Double dealer. We had those nicky names, those funny ones. Let me use the name double dealer. Take for instance, if I happen, in our class we have someone who is a double dealer, and you call him double dealer, and everyone laughs. Then we make an assembly. Then I write an article, but in the article there is double dealer. So other people may not understand. Double dealer is something, he's not the one. But what others are thinking make that statement defamatory, because the character is identified through innuendo. You understand? The character is always identified through what? Innuendo. You get? So put that in mind. So basically that's what I can explain about a true innuendo. Then we have a false innuendo. A false innuendo, for it brings a secondary meaning or a second meaning of that word. You get? For example, I can say that if we say those people have been living together without marriage, a false innuendo for it comes in that those people had been living immorally with a man. That woman has been living immorally with a man. That is a true innuendo. It gives that second meaning or that secondary meaning. That's to deal with the false what? Innuendo. That's the brief that I can explain about innuendo. And all what we have seen comes with one ingredient or one element of defamation, that the statement must be defamatory. That's one of the essential ingredients of defamation. All what I've explained and what I've talked about innuendo, about statements must be interpreted as a whole. It must be given its ordinary meaning. That's all to deal with. Statements must be what? Defamatory. Then we have that the statement must refer to the what? To the plaintiff. What do I mean by by a plaintiff? You must refer to that character. Don't pass around the corners. The statement must, actually these ingredients must be there for there to be defamation. It must be to that character. If it is Bosco, let it be Bosco. You understand? If it is a innuendo inside, let the innuendo refer to that person. You understand? Which the public know. So put that in mind, that statements must refer to the what? To the plaintiff. And you refer to the case of Sechitoreko versus Anthony Geno. That is a good case about statements referring to the what? To the plaintiff. Then we also have statements referring to the plaintiff. This deals with a group, if at all it is a group of people or a class. You get? How can I say? Take for instance, if someone comes out and say that the board of directors of that school is corrupt, that is a group of people. How is it treated under defamation? Can one of the board members come out and sue under defamation? The answer is yes. Each individual can sue on its own, on his or her own. You get? If I come out and say that the board of that school or the board of directors of that school is corrupt, which means each member of the board can sue me under defamation, each individually, because that statement is diffaming individual, though it was directed to a group of what, or to a class of people. So bear in mind. But however, there's a case of Kumfa versus Lloydin Express Newspaper Limited. For it didn't previously, it didn't consider that group, that you cannot defame a class of group or a class of group. But however, the judgment was deferred, or it was reinstated in the case of Chigozi versus Honorable Mayanja. Chigozi versus Honorable Mayanja. Under that case, under that case, they changed the principle that even you can, each member of the board or each member of the group can sue on his own under defamation. You get, the case of Chigozi is a good case. Then that is element number 2. Then element number 3 is that there must be publication of the statement. The defamatory matter must be published. What do I mean published? And first bear in mind, or put that in mind that even one person, so long, take for instance, you can publish the defamatory character to one person. Even if it is one, it is already defamation. It doesn't differ to a class of it is a majority of people. So long as there was another party that quote your defamatory character, it amounts to defamation. You get, if, take for instance, if I go and tell someone about you that is false, that is already defamation. But however, you must have a repetition for you, for someone, the plaintiff, you must have a repetition for you to sue under what? Defamation. So put that in mind, or bear that in what? In mind. You get, put that in mind. But however, here, when you realize, or when you realize that the defamatory character must be published, even if it is published in one person or it is published in 2 people, so long as it has gone to another person, it becomes a defamatory character, or it fulfills the ingredients of what? Defamation. Yeah, you relate to the case of Sleeper versus British Broadcasting Corporation, whereby they say that the defamatory character must be published to the third party. You get, it must be published to a third party. Then here we are going to look at the defenses under defamation. You get, the defenses basically under defamation. What you have to know that everyone has a right to bring a defense in the courts of law. So we are going to look at the defenses. First of all, under defamation, you have the defense of justification. Actually, what you have to know about this defense is that you are claiming that the statement is true. It is true. You really say that statement is true. That's what they call justification. You're trying to say that, fine, I talked the words, you are saying that they are defamatory, but they are true at the sense of it. When you read the case of John Nagend versus the editor of Monitor newspaper and another, brings out the defense of justification. Then we have also the defense of fair comment. What do they mean by fair comment? Fair comment has like five things about a fair comment. First of all, for it to amount to fair comment, it must be done in public interest. Also, this in relations, public officials, what, public interest. The statement in the question must be an expression of an opinion. It must be an opinion rather than an assertion of what? Of fact. It must be fair. It must be fair when the facts stated are not inspired by the what? By malice. It must be fair. And it must not be made out of what? Malice. The statement put up must appear as a comment. You get, as a comment. You know, commenting must appear as a comment and must not be mixed with facts that render or that cannot distinguish between a reported and what is commented. And the criticism in respect of matters of public interest must be in moderation. And if one makes unfair exaggerations, then the criticism will go beyond the limits. You get, it must be in form of criticism, but not to go beyond limits. You get? So those are some of the elements that make the defense of fair comment valid. Under the fair comment, there is a case of Munyonyozi versus the Luchiko of Buganda. Munyonyozi versus the Luchiko of Buganda, court held that this is made a statement against the Kabaka, but he claimed that he made it under fair comment. It was about public interest, that the Kabaka had a terrible disease. However, he made it in the interest of the what? Of the public. So read that case of Munyonyozi versus the Luchiko of what? Of Buganda. And then we also have what they call privilege. Privilege is also defense. Privilege under defamation is a defense, which refers to occasions where the communication is privileged, in the sense that an action of defamation cannot be brought for such communication. You get? But however, under privilege, you have what they call absolute and qualified. You get? So under absolute, we have the parliamentary sanctions. That's why on the floor of parliament, we have seen MPs talking just anyhowly, that this one embezzled money, what. It's just because they enjoy that what? That privilege of, they cannot, even if you talk ill about your MP, you have that privilege on the floor of parliament. That is a defense. You can talk anything, lies, truth. That's why you see most of the MPs, Honorable Semuju, they talk anything, not just because it is true, but just because they have that privilege. Understand? That is under absolute. We have parliamentary sessions, we have judicial proceedings, that is magistrate and judge, judicial proceedings. That is also an absolute privilege. You get? Advocacy and the client, it is also absolute. You understand? It is also absolute privilege between the two. Then when we go under qualified, or even before even going up qualified, still under absolute, you have matters of states. For example, communication between state officials on matters relating to their departments is privileged also. Then we also communication between client and advocate, that is also privileged. You get? But qualified we have precedence. Actually, qualified privilege, it is briefly applies to precedency. It applies to accurate and fair reports of parliamentary proceedings, of parliamentary sittings, fair and accurate report of judicial proceedings, statements, judicial precedents. That is all what? Qualified privilege. Anything that you do under that, you cannot be sued for defamation. You get? Then remedies under defamation, damages, that is obviously. We have damages, we have apology, but apology can be used to mitigate the damages, but it is not a complete remedy. It just reduces on the what? On the damages. Defamation, they can ask a public apology, understand, under the remedies. Public apology, damages, I think, that's the essence, or that's what we have under defamation. Good. So what I can urge is that read cases. Good. For you to excel in tort or in the law of tort, you must be acquainted with what? With cases. Cases are vital in your passing of the law of torts. So other than that, I wish you the best. Thank you for listening.